Our main aim for writing tests for our login functionality is because we've actually edited the defaults that Laravel provides for us. So every single place where we actually edited something that Laravel provides by default, we're going to write a little test for that. For example, if we head over to our login controller and check out our authenticated method, we're actually doing some things. So let's go ahead and write a little test to take care of this. So we're going to say public function test correct response after user logs in, right? So we're making sure that the response that we get is actually what we need, right? So first of all, we're just going to new up a user. And secondly, we're going to make that post request. And the test is almost going to look exactly like the one we just wrote. But now we want to actually pass in the correct password. Yeah. So we make sure that the user is actually authenticated. And then we assert that the status is a 200, meaning successful response. We assert that we have this array as part of the JSON in the response. So status, okay. So that's the response we're sending from the server. And the last thing we want to actually assert is that the session has a particular key. Now this key is going to be success. Now we have two options right here. If we head over to test response.php, which is actually in our Laravel core, Illuminate Foundation testing, and we search for that method assert session has, we discover that it takes in a key and it takes in an optional value. So that key is what we just passed in here, which is session. And then we could actually make sure that the value of that key is as specified, right? So right here, we could say, okay, we want to make sure that the success message is specifically you are successfully logged in, just like we have in our login controller or not. So in this case, I'm just going to head over to my login controller and I'm going to copy the message that we have in the session. And I'm going to make sure that our login test actually checks for it. So I think that's going to work perfectly. Let's go ahead and run a test and see the results that we get. So for us to run this specific test, let's just use PHP unit and we're going to filter to this particular test. Okay, we run it and sure enough, we have a successful response. So it means our session was set. Our status okay was in our JSON response and the status of that response was 200. So we have successfully overwritten the defaults for Laravel and our tests have told us that everything is okay.